Hi there. I was going to start my January wrap-up, and we still have a week left in the month, but I thought it would be fun to just kind of show you what I've been doing so far, and then I'll film the last week at a different time. So I had tried, or I'd wanted to use the Fountain Tarot, and I've had it off and on a few times for years. Never really used it, and I finally found a deck that I like pairing with it, and so I thought I would just show you how well these went together and how much they just resonate. And it was really fun to have these together, and it made me actually appreciate the Fountain Tarot more. Oh, and this is Le Tarot des Paysages intérieurs, which just translates to Tarot of the Interior Landscape. So anyway, I really loved these together, and I thought that they just went so well together, and they were just fun to use, and I liked the messages together, and it made me actually really enjoy using the Fountain Tarot for January. And I'm still using it, and I may just continue using it into February because it really was such a fun pairing, and also surprised me how well they went together. So it was kind of surprising, but I really liked the two of these together, and they were kind of surprising for me. And I thought they were really beautiful. They both have that winter vibe, that icy cold kind of, and you know, typically we don't get that cold here, but it is winter. It is a good time to go inward, and these decks definitely feel like they're going inward, and so they work really well together. And they both have that kind of crisp feeling, although this does feel kind of almost like watercolor. So anyway, that was the Fountain Tarot experience I had, and I finally got to the point where I think I'll use this deck, because I had already decided I wasn't going to let it go, but now I feel like it has a good place in my collection. Another pairing I enjoyed with the Fountain Tarot was the Way Home Tarot, and I thought these were fun together, and I'm already quite bonded to the Way Home Tarot, so I really enjoyed using the two of these together. So I feel like at this point I have enough decks that I am enjoying with the Fountain Tarot that it's going to have a place in my practice. And I actually had a lot of fun with it this month and thought it was fun to use. So it's going to get a little more use than it has in the past. And I think sometimes, or a lot of times, I would say I don't really pair my tarot decks, but every once in a while when I just can't figure out how to work with the deck, I'll use it with something else and we'll just give it a different feel. So these two together were pretty cool. And I am in love with the Way Home Tarot, so I always enjoy using that one. And so these were also good. I think all of these decks so far are still in print. These are the backs of the Fountain Tarot, and the Fountain Tarot is a mass market deck. It's done by Roost books. And the Way Home Tarot is by Bakara, Wintner, and Autumn Whitehurst. In case I didn't show you the backs on that one, those are the backs. The front of it has the backs. All right, another deck I had a lot of fun with that I hadn't planned on using as much, but I can never resist this one, is the Void Tarot. I've shown this quite a bit. I really love this deck. And so this was really fun. And I think the second edition is now out or coming out or something. Maybe on February 1st, but I might not get this posted by February 1st. But anyway, I think it's coming back, and she'll do small batches of this deck. And so just keep your eye out. I'll link it below. All right, another fun pairing this month was my Jonasa Jaus and my Illuminated deck of Holy Souls. I posted these on my Instagram, but I really had fun with these together. I really enjoy this deck with the kind of red colorway with my Illuminated deck of Holy Souls. And I will be honest, I don't know anything about the Christian religion or saints or anything like that, because just I didn't grow up with any of that. But I did think these two were very fun together, and I've kind of dug into this a little bit and found out about some of these saints. So that has been really fun. But I always love Jonasa Jaus's decks, and so this has just been a fun pairing together, and I have enjoyed these. I thought the colors were fun together, and I thought they read well together. And, you know, I have to look up the Holy Souls because I don't know them, but I don't mind using my guidebooks sometimes. So, and doing a little research. This is a little bit taller than this one, but anyway, I enjoyed using the two of these together, and I think they're fun. I also use the Illuminated deck of Holy Souls with the Radiant Wilds Tarot. And even though you wouldn't think this was my style of deck, I used it because I enjoyed it with this pairing. So this was fun. And I like the desert vibe in this. This is a mass market deck. It reminds me a lot of my Serpentfire Tarot. Maybe we'll try that together. That might be fun too. Anyway, I thought the colors in this worked really well, and I thought these worked really well together too. And this may be a really odd pairing, but I thought that they read pretty well together. So this was just kind of a fun pairing that I enjoyed doing. And I had never used, I don't think I'd ever used my Radiant Wilds Tarot, or maybe once, but I just had never used it. And so it gave me a chance to use this one. This is very deserty. And I spend a fair amount of time in the desert, so it's kind of fun that way too. It does remind me of the Serpentfire. So anyway, that was kind of fun. I didn't do that a ton, but I used it some. I did more plain in January, and I took a break quite a bit because in January we often travel, and so we're not around much. I think I want to try this with the Serpentfire. This is the first edition of the deck. It came in this little bag. So let's see what these look like together. I think these might work together really well too. These are cool together. I like them. So the time between Yule and Imbolc, I just kind of use it as a time to think and plan. And I'm just like always kind of relieved lately that the year that I'm in is ending. It's because the years have not been that easy. And so January is often a month that we would travel in, or I'd be in Hawaii and just kind of somewhere else. And I usually take it off from work for the whole month. So I don't ever do anything very intense. And I talked about this last year while I was in Hawaii, that I kind of use it as a playtime from that period in between Yule and Imbolc. And I do some deep thinking then, and I do kind of decide what I want to do for the year. And then I really celebrate Imbolc, and I really try and get my garden going and get everything ready to plant and start doing my seeds and planting different things. I pulled out all my lavender, and so I'm going to plant my lavender at Imbolc, or at least I'm going to prep for that and get my beds all ready. And then I'm going to try doing some witchy plants this year. And I thought that might be fun. And the first thing I'm going to try is belladonna. And so I thought that would be cool. Anyway, these are great together. I had no idea. I should have totally used that. I haven't been using this deck lately. And I miss it because I just love there's all versions of this. There's one with brown borders, which I have somewhere. That's the one I usually use. And then this is the first edition. And there's a new edition that's borderless. But anyway, I love these. I often end up using my bordered decks for these. I think just partially because I've had them around for a long time. But I really enjoy the Serpentfire. There's a new edition out too that looks really cool. It looks really pretty. All right, next I'm going to show you the Fyodor Pavlov with the Lost Oracle. I love the Fyodor Pavlov deck. It's mass market deck. Those are the backs. I think you guys have all probably seen this a million times. This is truly like a luxurious, beautiful deck. It is mass market, but I do think it is spendy. But the quality is there, so I can't really complain. And I paired this with the Lost Oracle, and I really loved these together. I think these work really well together. They're great. And I hadn't used the Lost Oracle as much as I wanted to, so this was a great opportunity. I love the Lost Oracle by Rockpool. It is really a cool deck. It's by Fiona Horne, and I love Fiona Horne. And I always love her decks. I love her writing. She's a witch in Australia, and she just does cool things. I've followed her for years. She has another oracle that I use all the time. It's the Magic of You Oracle. I won't show it right now, but it's a favorite of mine. So anyway, it made sense that I would get this deck, and it's just been really fun to use with the Fyodor Pavlov. I've mostly just used the Fyodor Pavlov with this deck, and I played around with it a lot, and I had a lot of fun with it, and I just love these together. So that's been a really fun part of my practice. I also have been using the Witch's Tarot, which is a deck I love. This is by Burning Paper Hearts. This deck is just so beautiful, I think. It's so well done. It's got a lot of nudity, so warning about nudity right now, in case you don't want to see nudity. And this month, I was pairing it with Seasons of the Witch Imbolc, which is also a beautiful deck. It's definitely one of my favorites of the Seasons of the Witch decks. And I love these together. I just thought these were fun together. And this has more of a folksy style art, but it went with the Witch's Tarot. And I've done a lot of readings. I'm probably going to do my Imbolc reading with this deck too. And this one. I do several readings coming up to Imbolc, and then I do a little ritual, and sometimes I'll take different things from Racine too, in addition to my own rituals. So I really enjoy doing all that with the Wheel of the Year. But these were fun, have been fun. I'm still using them, and they're great. And the Witch's Tarot is totally my jam. And I do enjoy the Seasons of the Witch in bulk too. So anyway, those are great. And the other deck that I paired with the in bulk Seasons of the Witch Oracle was my 8th House Tarot. And I love my 8th House Tarot. So I just used these because they were seasonally great together, but I thought they were fun together. And a lot of times I just use this on its own. But just because I was using this oracle already, I paired these together and thought it was really cool and really pretty. And I like the messages here. All right, one of my favorite decks of the month has been the Deleted World Tarot. I absolutely love this deck. I just think it's gorgeous. And it's Thoth-based, so it's easy for me to read it. So I paired it with the Mother Witch. I paired it with the 10 of Things. But one of them was the Mother Witch by Natasha Khan. And I love these together. So this is a little tall there. But these were fun together. And I thought they went really well together. And they just were great. And it was one of my favorite pairings with this deck. And I love the messages in this deck, in this oracle. It's just been such a great oracle. And it just works so well with the Deleted World. And I love using these together. So at Yule, I'll draw for every Sabbath, but for Yule, I drew an animal spirit card, and I got the deer. So that was one of the energies I was working with. And then I always draw each Sabbath an archetype. And for this Sabbath, I drew the sword was my archetype. And then I also draw an alchemy card for what I'm going to work with in alchemy. And I drew sparks of light or scintillate. So I was working with these energies from Yule up until now. At Imbolc, I will draw 3 more cards, and then I'll work with those energies over the next Sabbath time. So, you know, that's about 6 weeks. So it's a great amount of time. It's a little longer than a month, which I feel is better than just doing it month to month. So I end up doing that every Sabbath. And I've been doing that for a few years. The animal spirit, I always use this deck I do a reading in the mornings where I have 6 positions, and then I pick an animal spirit card, and I don't journal it, and I just look at it every morning, and I use multiple decks, and I don't think I've talked about that, but I always use this card, and I've used this deck for probably 5 or 6 years to do that. This is the indie version of the deck. You can get this deck mass market and also in a small size now. The energy of the sword is to decide. The blade separates one reality from another. The choice is made and all else falls away. If you find the sword in your grasp, you can no longer hesitate. This weapon requires a clear and decisive mind and a willingness to act. So this was really helpful for me this Sabbath because the sword came up in my life quite a few times, and it always helps me focus on what to cut away. So I really enjoyed this energy. the Scintillate Sparks of Light card in the Alchemy deck is about coming out of the darkness. It's usually when you've been in a really dark time, there hasn't been any light, and it's kind of a messenger of hope, a vision and a dream, some sparks of magic coming out, showing you that you're alive and you're being led to a better thing. It's a good time to really be thankful and appreciate this moment. One spark always leads to the next, so this is a great card to have. And the deer energy from the Wild Unknown Animal Spirit is, it's a little bit of Empress energy, it's a little bit of intuition, it's a little bit of grounding into the earth and just some gentleness. So sometimes I have a hard time feeling grounded, so this was perfect to start off from Yule into Imbolc. So this was great energy for me to connect with. And sometimes with the animal spirit cards, I just do a little meditation to learn more about what to tap into. So I ended up spending a lot of time with my Hexen Tarot. Over the last, period of time, I've been spending more and more time with this, over the last year. And I've been using Oracle of the Sun with it, because I've been trying, not just Oracle of the Sun, but I've been using different astrological cards with it to try and work with it more. And I've showed this on Instagram. This deck is very technology and talking about like the future and the way things are going. And so using the astrological decks with this deck, for me, was really helpful. And it makes me use the decks differently. This is the paper version. It's the old version. It's the first edition of the Hexen. I've shown the new one, but I don't have it right here, but it's plastic. And so I just sometimes like the feel of this. I was hoping that the brand new one would be like some of that new amazing cardstock that we see, but this is more like the old Llewellyn cardstock on this deck. But the new one is plastic, which is great if you want to take it to the bar or something, but it does feel really different than this deck. Anyway, so I've been doing that quite a bit. And because I was doing a lot of work with the astrological cards, and because I was using my Deleted World and I had my Oracle of the Sun out, I also used these two together. And they were great together. This deck is easy to read. I mean, it does change the names of some things, but it reads very tarot-like, so it was just fun to use it with this, just because I think I was already using it. And sometimes it's fun to bring in this Oracle of the Sun has very grounded information in it. This deck reads a little bit like the Oracle Boolean. So this is based on the planets. So each card is based on the planets. And so you'll have this like Sun in Gemini, and you'll have like an acrobatic figure. And then like that's an old symbol for the sun. And this card will come up like if you need to be able to do everything and be able, and I think that's why we see somebody walking on their hands, right? When you need to communicate well, but you also need to show that you're good at things. So it's really helpful to use this with tarot. I think I enjoy using this deck with tarot cards. I think it works really well. And for some reason, I liked it more with the Deleted World and the Hexen than I did with some of my other tarot. But anyway, they just seem to go well together. All right, I was using Beautiful Creatures Tarot for one of my practices. And this is the older version. I have the newer one somewhere too. anyway, I was using it for some fairy tale work I was doing. And I know everybody has been doing fairy tale work in the tarot community for the last few years. It's interesting. But so I love this deck. Every once in a while I just want to use it, and it's just really fun. And I have Julie's deck from Peekaboo Rose. I have her tarot too. So I did use this for quite a few readings, and I used it with the fairy tale oracle, which is here, and they were fun together. And so I like the messages sometimes, and I was tapping into the fairy tales with this one, and it does have a little bit in the book about the fairy tale, more than you'd think. It's pretty interesting. So these were fun to use together. And I know this seems like a very young, kind of silly type of tarot deck for me, but sometimes I do really enjoy this one. And then I am going to use it next month too for the same practice. And then I also used Les Vampires with it. This one I like because it has a little bit of darkness to it. So I use this some too. And I'll probably keep using all three of these, even past Imbolc, because I'm doing some practices that I enjoy using these together. And so, but these are kind of the ones, the oracles and the tarot that I'm using right now for that practice. Anyway, for those practices, this has been really fun. And I've got a lot out of it too. I ended up just starting to use my Flying Hearts Tarot. I had been wanting to use this, but this deck, when I use it, it's a lot of work. In January, I had a little bit more time, so I started just kind of translating the cards at least, but I would just do like a couple a day because they don't translate exactly, and the meanings sometimes are different, sometimes they're the same. But like we have for number 8, Samba, and I know this is supposed to be the strength card in this deck, but Samba doesn't make sense for me. So I'm having to just kind of work with it a little bit, and I'm having fun with it, but it is really different, and I'm going very slowly with this deck. It's a beautiful deck, and it's really different, but it is not something that just comes easy to me. Pan is the devil there. It uses the basic structure of the tarot, but it definitely goes its own way, and it is very interesting. And so what I'll do is just draw a couple cards and do a reading. Although right now I'm trying to at least get all the names of the cards done. So I'm kind of just playing with this more than I would say working with it. And kind of just trying to get to know it a little bit, and then later I'll try and use it. But I love this deck, and I'm going to keep, maybe I'll use this deck all year. And so we'll see how it goes. It's a lot of work, so I don't want to do too much at once. I did use Le Tarot Arthurian a little bit. This is in French, and I can at least read French. So I love the guidebook, and so mostly what I was doing was reading the guidebook a little bit more. I spent a lot of time with this last year. I love this deck, and when I was doing my wrap-up, I realized, oh, I missed this one, and so I used this a little bit in January. I'll probably use it in February, March, just like I did last year. So this is going to be done in English. I'm not sure exactly when, but my understanding was that process started last year. That's what I think. I'm not 100% sure about that. Anyway, I should show you the cards. This is an absolutely beautiful deck, and the guidebook is fantastic. So just like everything about this deck is great. I think people are very excited for it to come out in English, and I don't know how long that takes with companies, but the cardstock on this French deck is absolutely gorgeous, and the guidebook is just amazing. There's so much knowledge about the Arthurian legends because Claire Duvall did it, and I think she has a real connection to the Arthurian legends, and it shows in the deck. But anyway, this is such a lovely deck and such an amazing deck to get to use. So I think it'll be great when it comes out in English, and everybody that doesn't speak French and doesn't read French can have access to all of it. I mean, you could use it and do the translation. I just feel that for me, if a deck's in a different language other than English or French, I just tend not to use it. But this one has been a delight. And this is Litera Arthurian. I don't see it talked about very much this year or for the last few months, but I saw it a lot all of last year. But I'm guessing this time of year you'll probably start seeing it more.